I've watched the same pattern destroy trader after trader for over 15 years. They know how to trade, they understand their methodology, they can spot perfect setups on historical charts. But the moment they put real money on the line, something happens. Fear hijacks their brain. Impulsivity takes over, and they watch themselves make the exact mistakes they swore they'd never make again. I'm Rand Howell, a licensed therapist and trading psychologist, and today, I'm going to share the secrets to developing a patient trading mind, the kind of mind that separates consistently profitable traders from those who stay stuck in the cycle of emotional sabotage. Because here's what most traders don't understand: the mind you brought to trading is not the mind that's going to deliver what you seek. Your whole understanding of winning and losing is going to have to change. The success formula that worked in your past does not work in trading. Let me start with something uncomfortable. You bring a brain designed for short-term survival every day to manage a situation that requires a mind built for long-term probability. Unless your brain and mind are trained, you will react to uncertainty by triggering instinctual survival responses like fight or flight, which is counterproductive to managing capital at risk. Think about yourself as a trader with your finger on the trigger. Now compare that to a surgeon holding a scalpel over a patient. The surgeon's mind has not only been trained in technique, but also emotionally, so that he's able to maintain discipline, patience, impartiality, and courage. These must be maintained because there's little margin for error. He's able to emotionally manage his mindset in a calm, assertive state of mind no matter what happens. This state of mind is what separates great surgeons from mediocrity. It's the same with traders. But here's the problem. Most traders enter their trading day with their thinking already clouded by fear of loss, fear of not being able to make up for their losses, or an urgency to make up for prior losses. Entering a trading situation in this state of mind is a setup for losing that can become an avalanche. I hear the same frustration from traders constantly. I know how to trade, but my emotions keep getting in the way and sabotaging my efforts. This is the huge breakdown that keeps talented traders from achieving their potential. And it's not about learning more indicators or finding a better strategy. It's about fundamentally reorganizing how your brain and mind engage with uncertainty. Let me explain something about your biology. Your emotional brain has evolved for short-term survival. It wasn't designed for the probability kind of thinking required in trading. When you face uncertainty in the markets, your brain reactively perceives it as a threat to be avoided or attacked. This is simply the biology of emotion, overwhelming your capacity to maintain a probability-based mindset. Not being able to pull the trigger when all conditions are met? That's your survival brain protecting you from perceived danger. Revenge trading after a loss? That's your brain trying to attack the threat and restore control. Overtrading when you're on a winning streak? That's your brain getting hijacked by greed, another survival emotion. The uncomfortable truth is this: you can't think your way out of emotional hijacking. Knowledge and smartness are easily overwhelmed by emotion when you're in the heat of the moment, unless you have a well-trained mind. This is where most trading psychology advice fails. Books tell you what you're supposed to think like. They give you platitudes about discipline and patience, but none of them teach you how to actually develop the mind that trades. They don't give you the process to reorganize your brain. Let me share a story about a trader I'll call Jacob. He came to me in despair. He'd been trading for years, had read every trading psychology book, even worked with other coaches. Nothing worked. He was on the verge of giving up entirely. His friend compassionately asked him, "Have you ever considered that the problem is in your head? Maybe you've missed the obvious. Maybe trading success is not in methodology and trader tricks. Maybe the problem is your mindset." Within 2 to 6 months of working together, Jacob went from deepening despair to trading confidently. He went from bad trading patterns and growing more fearful every day to having what I call his team of inner heroes in place. For the first time in a long while, he felt optimistic. He looked forward to trading. It became a great way of developing his potential as a human being. What happened in those months? How does a trader go from throwing in the towel to trading confidently with an account that reflects that change? The answer lies in understanding three fundamental truths about developing a patient trading mind. Truth number one, you and your thoughts are not the same. This is where mindfulness comes in. Most traders are completely identified with their thoughts. When fear speaks in their mind, they believe it's the truth. When greed whispers about doubling their position size, they think it's logical analysis. They have no separation between themselves and the emotional programs running in their brain. With mindfulness training, you literally learn how to step back and observe the heretofore unseen forces in the mind that have been dominating your state of mind. You discover that you can witness your thoughts without being controlled by them. You can observe fear arising without acting on it. You can notice impatience without letting it dictate your trading decisions. This creates space, and in that space lives the patience you're seeking. I teach traders to develop what I call the observer mind. This is a part of you that can watch your internal experience without being swept away by it. When you can observe your anxiety about a trade setup without believing every fearful thought your brain generates, you've created the foundation for patience. Most traders think patience means forcing themselves to wait. They grit their teeth and white-knuckle their way through holding positions or waiting for setups. That's not patience. That's suppression. And suppression eventually leads to explosion, usually in the form of impulsive, rule-breaking trades. Real patience comes from a calm, regulated nervous system and a mind that's not hijacked by survival emotions. You can't manufacture that through willpower. You have to train it. Truth number two, emotional regulation is the gateway to everything else. Before you can work with the self-limiting beliefs that sabotage your potential in trading, you must first learn how to manage emotional reactivity. Until you can regulate your out-of-control fear or impulse, getting into a position to work with your mind is not possible. I teach traders breathing and self-soothing skills so they can interrupt emotions before those emotions sweep their trading mind away. This training is applied directly to trading situations that cause the most problems. Evaluating setups for entry points, pulling the trigger, managing open positions, taking losses, and handling winning streaks. Here's what emotional regulation actually means. It's the ability to feel fear without becoming fearful. It's the capacity to experience excitement without becoming reckless. It's managing the intensity of an emotion so that emotion informs your trading rather than controls it. Let me give you an example of two traders facing the same situation. Both had losses from the previous week. Both experienced fear going into Monday's trading session. The first trader, Steve, mindfully listened to his anxiety. He acknowledged it. I'm feeling anxious about today because of last week's losses. That's normal. That's my brain trying to protect me. He used breathing techniques to regulate his nervous system. He reminded himself that he could control his performance but not the outcome. He focused on executing his process. Steve emotionally regulated his fear. The second trader, Tom, tried to use sheer willpower to overcome his fear. I'm not going to think about last week. Just focus on trading, he told himself. This drill sergeant discipline had worked in other areas of his life. He set his mind to a game day attitude. I'm going to take charge. I'm going to take back what I lost. And it was a perfect psychological setup for a day of revenge trading. Who do you think was the more effective trader? Steve, who worked with his biology, or Tom, who tried to fight against it? The reality is that emotion precedes thought. Your nervous system's state determines the quality of your thinking. If your nervous system is dysregulated, if you're in fight or flight mode, your brain literally cannot access the higher order thinking required for probability-based decision-making. This is why traders often review their charts at the end of the day and think, what was I thinking? That was such an obvious bad trade. In review mode, their nervous system is calm. They can think clearly, but in the heat of the moment, with real money on the line, their biology hijacked them. Emotional regulation training teaches you how to maintain a calm, assertive nervous system state even when facing uncertainty and risk. This is not about becoming emotionless. It's about being able to experience emotions without being controlled by them. Truth number 3, patience lives in your internal resources, not in your willpower. In the same way that you experience fear and self-doubt because they live within you as possible organizations of the self, there also exists discipline, patience, courage, and impartiality within you. The problem is that most people don't know how to access these internal resources when they need them most. I teach traders what I call awakening your heroic nature. This involves bringing into your awareness the elements of your peak performance self and developing them as skills. The internal dialogue becomes more complex. It becomes a committee meeting where you reorganize the committee through your newfound awareness into a much more highly effective mindset for trading. You learn to locate these parts of your personality and act from them rather than from the fear-based internal dialogue that brings fear and self-doubt. You discover that discipline, patience, courage, and impartiality are inherent parts of the human condition, and you can bring them into your awareness so they become part of your decision-making process. One of the most powerful techniques I teach is what I call memory enrichment. This is based on the brain's way of embedding the meaning of an event. You take an actual memory from your life, a time when you were challenged by risk or uncertainty, and you managed to push through successfully, and you rework that memory so you're able to call forth the qualities of discipline, courage, patience, and impartiality while in the act of trading. This is not visualization or positive thinking. This is neurologically rewiring how your brain responds to trading situations by anchoring peak performance states to specific memories and then activating those states in real time. Here's what this looks like in practice. A trader I worked with had a pattern of exiting winning trades too early because he was afraid the profit would disappear. No amount of logical self-talk helped. We identified a memory from his past where he'd shown genuine courage and patience. He'd stayed calm during a medical emergency with his child and waited for help rather than panicking. We worked with that memory, enriching the emotional and sensory details, anchoring the calm patience he'd demonstrated. Then we practiced activating that state before and during trades. Over time, his brain learned to access that patient, calm state when holding winning positions. The early exits stopped because he was trading from a different part of himself. This is what I mean by awakening your internal resources. Patience isn't something you force, it's something you access from parts of yourself that already possess it. Now, let me address what blocks most traders from developing patience. They're focused on outcomes they cannot control, rather than on performance they can control. This is the edge traders seek in managing probability. You cannot control whether any individual trade wins or loses. You cannot control how long it takes for your setup to play out. You cannot control whether the market cooperates with your analysis today, tomorrow, or this week. But you can control whether you follow your rules. You can control whether you take trades that meet your criteria. You can control whether you manage risk appropriately. You can control whether you stay present and mindful, or whether you let fear and greed hijack your decision-making. When your focus shifts from "I need this trade to win" to "I need to execute my process well," patience becomes natural, because you're no longer in a hurry for a specific outcome. You're engaged in a process that will produce results over time through probability. The patient trader is the one who wins in the end. Impatience arises when traders are faced with different or sideways markets. Many traders find this situation very annoying. They cannot wait to close positions because price movement is slow. Psychologically, impatience arises because they want to quickly gain a profit or realize a loss so they can re-enter. But here's what they don't understand. The market doesn't care about your need for action. The market operates on its own timeline. Your job is to synchronize with that timeline, not fight against it. The best way to practice patience in trading is counterintuitive. Reduce your position size. When you reduce your position size or leverage, you reduce the psychological pressure. With less money on the line, you can be more patient in holding positions when the market is sideways. You can wait for proper setups rather than forcing trades because you need to make money today. This is what I mean by turning the odds in your favor. You're creating the conditions where your brain can operate in a patient, probability-based mode rather than a desperate survival mode. Let me share the process for developing a patient trading mind. Step 1. Learn to emotionally regulate your nervous system. Practice breathing techniques, body awareness, and self-soothing skills daily, not just when trading. Train your nervous system to return to calm baseline states quickly after activation. Step 2. Develop mindfulness. Practice observing your thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. Create separation between the observing you and the thinking/feeling you. This practice gives you space to choose your response rather than react automatically. Step 3. Identify your self-limiting beliefs. What stories do you tell yourself about money, risk, loss, and your own capabilities? These beliefs, usually formed in childhood and reinforced over years, create the emotional hijacking you experience in trading. Without disrupting these beliefs, you stay stuck in your current pattern. Step 4. Awaken your internal resources. Identify memories and experiences where you demonstrated patience, courage, discipline, and impartiality. Use memory enrichment techniques to anchor these states and make them accessible during trading. Step 5. Focus on process, not outcome. Trading is an ongoing, uncertain activity. You cannot guarantee profit. The mindset of a good trader is to focus on learning and maintaining consistency in trading behavior. As I often tell traders, you can't control the outcome, so focus on the process. This isn't a quick fix. It takes work. But every successful trader has to learn this lesson. The payoff is consistent, less stressful, and disciplined trading. Emotional hijackings become a thing of the past. Here's what I want you to understand. Developing a patient trading mind is not about becoming a different person. It's about reorganizing the relationship between your brain, your mind, and your trading. It's about training yourself to engage with uncertainty from a place of calm authority rather than survival fear. You were born into self-limiting beliefs that are exposed in your trading performance. But they're so familiar that you wouldn't notice them as they do their damage, unless you knew what to look for. Most traders are operating below conscious threshold, completely unaware of the biological and psychological forces controlling their decisions. The truth is simple. The mind you brought to trading is not going to deliver what you seek. That primitive, reactive brain you inherited from your ancestors needs to be domesticated for the challenges of uncertainty found in trading. This is where traders who know how to trade but cannot manage emotions fail. Most of us have skillfully avoided the internal struggle that goes on within every human being. In trading, this cannot be done. You have to face your psychological demons, or you will continue to fall victim to self-doubt, fear, and impulse. But here's the beautiful part. When you do this work, when you develop emotional regulation and mindfulness, when you awaken your internal resources and learn to focus on process rather than outcome, trading becomes something different. It becomes a vehicle for developing your potential as a human being. It becomes a practice of self-mastery that extends far beyond making money. The calm, patient, disciplined mind you're seeking isn't out there in another strategy or indicator. It's already within you. You just need to learn how to access it, train it, and bring it to your trading. This is the trader's state of mind. This is the edge that no market condition can take away from you. This is what transforms trading from a source of stress and frustration into a sustainable, profitable endeavor. The question is, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to stop avoiding your internal experience and start training it? Are you willing to reorganize your brain and mind for the specific demands of trading? Because if you are, everything changes. The patience you're seeking, the discipline you need, the courage to take good trades, and the impartiality to accept outcomes, all of it becomes accessible. Not through willpower, but through proper training. Your trading will never be better than your ability to manage your mind. So stop looking for the perfect strategy and start building the perfect mindset. That's where real, sustainable trading success lives.